Good evening. This is Joe Fields with Week 7 assignment for FTT 100 Introduction into Firearms with Cody Myers. This week we'll be touching two different topics, the cycle of operations for our chosen firearm, as well as cleaning of our chosen firearm after field stripping it. So this week I'm trying to use something different each week. Desk area is free of any ammunition. This weapon is free of any ammunition. I checked this previous to making the video. This is a Heritage Arms 22 long rifle single action revolver. This being a revolver, and we'll just get this show free and clear while we're talking about this. With this being a revolver, the cycle of operations is a little bit more condensed, so it's not as critical. There is nothing down the barrel, and there is nothing in the cylinders. With this being a single action, the user is actually moving this through some of the cycle of operations. First set, which would be cocking and feeding. As you cock the hammer, you are advancing the cylinder and feeding the live ammunition into position of fire. Chambering has taken effect also as the round is cycled into and chambered. Locking typically means that it's going to be keeping or containing the gases inside or redirected in the firearm, and in this case it's really not. There is an open gap and there is open areas outside of the cylinder that's going to allow gases to escape outward and forward. Firing, once the trigger is depressed, the hammer will move forward, and then this will strike the primer in the bullet. Firing, unlocking happens when you go to pull the hammer back. The cylinder will move, feeding in the next round and completing the cycle. Really, the two pieces that manipulate the cycle of operations are going to be this hammer, which does have to be pulled back by the user to cycle the cylinder, and the trigger, which is used to release the hammer to cycle the cylinder. You can go half cock, you can go full if you want to, but the end result of half cock is nothing. That is just advancing partial cylinder and not giving you anything except for maybe a shorter pull on the hammer if you needed to. As far as disassembly goes with this, you have to open the gate. This one's kind of different, Heritage Arms. You have to release this locking pin and pull the retainer rod out, and then pop the cylinder out of the side, which leaves you with an open chassis here. As far as the parts at play, none of those really come out during the cleaning. You still have the hammer here, you still have the trigger. The cylinder does get kind of crudded up on the end just because there is no real lock against the gases on this, and you get quite a bit of carbon buildup on this end of it, especially in 22 long rifle. The retention rod itself doesn't really get crazy dirty. It gets a lot of wear to it though. You can see where it kind of polishes off the end just a little bit, where it's wearing against the cylinder as it rotates. So those are the three major pieces that we're dealing with here. As far as cleaning goes, the Cleaning Lab book itself shows a cylinder that's just kind of a drop side version. We don't have that issue, so we can kind of get the cylinder in our hand here. We're going to take a brush. I usually keep old toothbrushes, or if I'm fancy, I'll go out and buy a decent one. And hit all the surfaces. I don't think this needs a brass brush. I do have those. Hitting the outside of the walls, the surface areas, and really this is going to be the process for anything that I have that has any kind of carbon buildup on it. If I get much deeper carbon buildup than what I'm seeing here on the front, which isn't even too bad, I do keep this gun fairly clean. We'll take a decent carbon remover, and in this case we'll use what came in the kit, the carbon destroyer. I'll actually put this on a bigger patch and then apply this in layers if I have to. I don't like soaking. I don't like getting too much CLP or any kind of solvent on something that I can't remove off of there. Especially new solvents or anything that I try, I will try to do a spot area of it just to see if I like it or not. Once we kind of take this across the cylinder, we'll set that aside and let that soak in. We'll take the same carbon destroyer that we receive. We're going to run it across the recoil plate. And just kind of get a good coat of everything on there. And then across the forcing cone and barrel also. Just get a nice generous coat of all that. Then once that's in there, typically I let it set, but for the case of this, we're going to hit it with a brush and hit all those areas liberally. Set that aside. Now as far as the barrel itself goes, I'll run a brush down it, especially 22s or ARs, because they do get kind of cruddy, and to foul up the rifling and get a little bit of fill up in there. This one, I put on a 22 long rifle brush, get it fed most of the way in there, and then yank it on through once or twice. If you can get a good visual on the rifling to see how it looks in there. But then the process would be the same across the cylinder wall also, or the walls inside the cylinder for each one of the individual. You can run a brush through there. You can run your rags through there. You're not going to get a whole bunch of carbon buildup except for at the end, and a lot of that's on the outside. So once you get everything good and brushed out, wipe down, make sure it's dry. I'll take a separate patch and I'll do what I call the toilet paper test, where we kind of run some white paper or white patch across everything until we can tell it's completely clean or not. And then reassembly is back in reverse order. Take it, open the gate, pop the cylinder back in. You got to take it to a half cock position, throw the rod back on, unlock, close the gate, and we're back to close. Thank you. As far as references go, I did look up the 4 steps that were on the revolver in the lab, and some general knowledge that I know about this weapon. Thank you, Cody. Have a good night.